Keith Lee is all elite. They actually nailed his debut, and I don't care how many of these white pillars you have lined up to be world champion. Keith Lee's that
Pro Wrestling Bits. Subscribe now.
Keith Lee came, he saw, and he conquered his AEW debut in a rare display of black excellence for the company. Booking Keith Lee is as simple as listening to his catchphrase, and that's exactly what AEW did. Basked in his glory. They played his music, people lost their shit, they basked in his glory, they chanted, they lost their shit some more, and that's before the bell even rang. No baggy shorts, no tank top, no whack theme music, or learning how to work. No, give it time. Just one of the best professional wrestlers in the world doing what he does best, with AEW showcasing his many talents professionally. My man Keith Lee looked more like Bearcat Wright, shout out to him, than when WWE literally called him Bearcat Lee. As a black man in AEW, Keith Lee is perfect for this promotion because black people typically get next to zero promo time on Dynamite. But Keith Lee didn't even have to say a single word to come off as the biggest star in the building. I don't even have to tell you that Keith Lee is February's Black Wrestler of the Month. And now he'll set his sights on the TNT Championship against AEW pillar Sammy Guevara. That is, if Keith Lee wins the Face of the Revolution ladder match, where he should be heavily favored as long as he gets past Wardlow. Which, how lit is that showdown gonna be? I've been watching AEW too long to completely believe they're gonna continue Keith Lee's momentum by featuring him on TV every week. And I can only hope and pray that he doesn't go missing off television like fellow GOAT Jay Lethal. Lucky for Keith Lee, he has the WWE pedigree, which gets you much farther in AEW. Keith Lee is essentially Jay Lethal with the letters WWE on his resume, and look how far that's gotten him on day one. But because Keith Lee is black, and this is America, not to mention AEW, his narrative has to be corrupted by something. This industry isn't just gonna let something like undeniable star power and athleticism convince itself that Keith Lee is ready to be a top star in AEW. Look at Jade Cargill, who continues to outdraw your favorite internet wrestling Caucasians in her quarter hours. Like, it's ridiculous. She outdrew the world title match between Danielson and Page. She's outdrawn Darby Allin, John Moxley, MJF, and CM Punk. Yet the neckbeard narrative on Jade Cargill is that she's too green. Something that she herself even felt compelled to respond to on television by explaining that she's green like money. Pro wrestling is still getting used to the whole black world champion thing, and this applies to the entire industry. That's why even when stars like Big E, Bianca Belair, and Kofi Kingston make it to the promised land, they all inevitably get Kofi'd. And next week in Saudi Arabia, Brock Lesnar's finna add to his list of slain black world champions if he regains a WWE title from Lashley inside the Elimination Chamber. So despite Keith Lee's splash into AEW, one which helped draw Dynamite's best number since September, despite there being hard data that suggests that this man is a superstar, what's the neckbeard narrative designed to bring him down this time? He's too fat to be world champion. Roll the bullshit, please.
He really needs to drop weight. I mean, it's just for his health, because he was really big up there. I mean, like, when he came out, it was like, this was a noticeable difference from the Keith Lee that I saw on Raw, let alone the Keith Lee that I saw on the Indies.
All right, stop the cap. Give me the clap back.
I don't know why he would throw shade on Keith Lee. That's my question. Yeah. That's my question, first and foremost. Out of all the people that have come into AEW, has had nothing but praise for him, no matter what they have done. But Keith Lee, he's lost a step and he's overweight. That's what he has to say about Keith Lee. It just goes to show you what kind of person that guy is. I'm not going to even mention his name.
Woo! Tell him, Unc. And because the wrestling world doesn't revolve around the opinions of a 62-year-old man, unless you're NXT 2.0, let's get some younger reactions with the rest of the wrestling world.
This was fantastic booking for Lee's debut, and he executed every very demanding spot with confidence and poise.
It happened! It happened! I'm so happy. What a great Thursday.
There's like nothing we can say that people aren't already feeling. It's Keith Lee finally on the stage and being treated with the respect that he deserves.
Lee got a huge pop, as you'd expect given his popularity on the indie circuit and WWE, and now it's up to AEW to utilize him properly.
I am so moved! I'm so moved! This is amazing! This is amazing! It's Keith Lee! This guy is so good! you, Keith Lee! Yes!
Did Keith Lee live up to that hype?
Pardon my Swahili, but I fucking love this. See, that's closer to the enthusiasm Keith Lee has elicited out of the pro wrestling world, which is clearly here for it. That's your narrative. Run with it. Yes, I will concede that Keith Lee is going to have to work his ass off from this point forward to be successful in AEW. But not because of his weight, because of his skin. Twice as hard, half as far, especially in AEW, the worldwide leader in white pillars. But that's the beauty of being black. That's why it feels so good to see black wrestlers succeed, because I know how much bullshit they barrel through from every level in this business to get there. Every black top star in the history of pro wrestling has been a living, breathing exception to the rule, and when Keith Lee becomes too undeniable for AEW's ultra-white world title picture, I'm sure he'll do so exceptionally.